What's up? How you doing? Here we are. It's almost August. Today's like what, the 25th of July 2022, and I'm looking into a Viewmaster. So when I was a kid, these were very popular. I remember there was a store near my house. Fresh water. There was a store in my house that had a rack, and it had different little, what are these called? Cartridges, I don't know what they, and they had a bunch of these, you know, and I would go in there and I would look for the newest ones, the ones I didn't have, and I'd get a couple of them, and then I'd get home and I'd put them in the little viewfinder and I'd check them out. It was very fascinating. I remember one of them was Peter Pan, and then I had this size one, and then somebody for a gift gave me a big one, a blue one. It was long. It had like a speaker in it, and I don't know if it had any value with the speaker, but I still looked at the pictures. So big fan of this Viewmaster. Kids used to play with this stuff, and it was very entertaining. Not anymore. If you give a kid this now, they'll chuck it. Anyway, talk a little bit about Maggie Lettvin. Wimpy car, backfire. Anyway, Maggie Lettvin, the beautiful machine. I was a big fan of this show. I was a kid back then, but I was fascinated with this show. Not just this show, but all the other ones too, like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Sesame Street, The Electric Company, and a few others that, All About Me. So, back then it was $8.95 to get all this information. They even have in here the that's not it, put that down. They have here this, the exercise planning guide, and you know, it's this is not in a form of a book. It's all these sheets that you have the information, and this is easy workout here. Tells you what to do. But anyway, another one here. Big fan of this show. Now, the last time I checked, Maggie is alive. Unless something happened recently, but the last time I checked, which wasn't that long ago, she was alive. And I've communicated with her over the years, you know, emailing, things like that. But I wish I had met her when I was a kid. That show to me was very interesting. I thought it was like in a secret location, and with these secret people that she would bring over. She texted me one time, or emailed me, that those people were part of some MIT group. I don't know if they were teachers there, staff, something. But anyway, that's what she said. They were from MIT. But I want to say that she was the first one that kind of got me into exercise. When I was a kid, I'd watch her. You know, they would toss pillows around, and she would say, inhale, exhale. And I would do the same thing. I would follow the instructions. And especially Saturdays I would be in my room doing the stuff, you know, doing the breathing, you know, calisthenics, jumping around, especially running in motion, what do they call it? Not running in motion. Running in motion is what you usually do. That stationary running, she would, you know, be in one spot and she would run. And I would do that all the time when I was a kid. So I really enjoyed the show. I wish I had met her when I was a kid. I could meet her now if she comes out here. I'd like to meet her for a few minutes, say hello, tell her how much I appreciated the show. And I was a loyal fan to that show. And then I remember one time many years ago, like a decade ago, I was thinking, whatever happened to her? Whatever happened to Maggie? Is she still around? And I made a video, and her granddaughter sent a message to me, and she said that she was going to show it to Maggie, and that Maggie was alive and well. So I was very happy to hear that. And then recently someone else told me that they had spoken to Maggie, maybe they had visited her or something, and they had showed her the video, and that she was alive. So, she's in her 90s. So anyway, I mean, I think of her the way she looks here, still. Even though now she's an old person. But in my mind, I think Maggie still looks the same as she did back in 1972. So, yep. A lot of information here. But, I don't have it, like I'm going to do this now. No, I'm not going to do this now. There are books that are more up to date. But exercise is exercise, right? It's not like if you do this stuff, your body says that's out of date. Look at that. This one is hard. It says hard. Yeah. So I guess she was in some kind of accident when she was, I don't know, late 30s, early 40s or whatever, and she used exercise to recover. And she did recover. She recovered so well that she's still around. Yep. Brings back good memories. Those were good days. Good days back then. Kids back then watched television, and people would complain, oh, kids watch too much television these days. And compared to now, where they're constantly on their iPhones or their iPads or whatever else, back then was nothing. At least we played back then. At least we got on our bikes once in a while, and not once in a while, often, a lot. In my neighborhood, every kid had a bicycle. Yeah, we watched TV, but we also, we went out, got on our bikes, took off. No one knew where we were, which was fun. Our parents did not shadow us around. I did not want that, back then. I see a lot of kids now that parents shadow them around. And even in my time, when I was a kid, there were parents that did shadow their kids around. And I always found that to be a bit much. Let your kids play. You don't have to watch them constantly, like they're in prison. But there were a few kids back then that had parents like that. They would run to the window, see if they were still in the backyard constantly. For me, I was never that much in the backyard. Once in a while I'd be in the backyard, but I would take off. I would end up far away from home. But I knew about safety. I don't mean looking both sides before you cross. I mean the strangers, not kind of like getting in trouble with crazy people that want to abduct you. I knew all about that stuff at a very, very early age, and I was always mindful of that. I had a few situations where I ran into some kind of situation that seemed a bit dangerous, and I, was able to get away, and not get in trouble like that. And I credit that early on in second kindergarten. Take a little sippy poo. In second kindergarten, we had a police officer who came in and spoke to us. And he was probably like 30 years old back then. They called him Officer Friendly, and for a minute I thought that was his name. I go, what a coincidence. He's friendly, and his name is Friendly. So he gave a little talk about, kidnappings of children and staying away from strangers, keeping your distance, and being able to run if there was a stranger that was trying to grab you. and never getting into a strange car, and also, you know, looking both ways before you cross, and you know, he gave us a talk, and that sank in for my whole life. I always remember the words of Officer Friendly. But I still remember that situation where they gave me a coloring book. I mentioned this before, but they gave me a coloring book that was bent. Let the plane go by. I know you can hear me, but it's a helicopter. But they gave me a coloring book that was bent on the lessons that Officer Friendly had taught us that day in kindergarten number 2. And it was bent in the back. I didn't want that. So they had a whole stack, maybe 50 of them, sitting at the table right next to my desk. And I said to myself, okay, school's over. I'm going to get up. I'm going to put the coloring book back, and I'm going to grab a fresh one off the top of this, you know, big pile. And I should have waited, but when I put it down, my teacher was standing not too far from the desk, and she looked and she goes, you don't want it? And instead of saying to her, no, I want it, but I want a good one. I don't want to get this wrinkled one. I want a good one. I said, yeah, I don't want it. And she goes, okay, just leave it there. And I walked away in slow motion, like the $6 Million Man. But I was very sad that I couldn't take the coloring book home. Very sad. And to this day, I regret not telling her that I want a coloring book, but I want another one. I want a fresh one. I don't want a beat up one. So anyway, I didn't want to make her feel like she was wrong in her guess that I didn't want it. So I agreed. I go, yeah, I don't want that. And then recently I had a dream that I was back in time. I was back in kindergarten number 2, and the whole situation was happening, and I go, I know what's going to happen. In my dream, I'm thinking, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to give me a bent coloring book. And I said to myself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to wait until the teacher moves to a different direction, different area of the class, and then I'm going to switch it out. And in my dream, I'm a little kid, but I know the whole scenario. I know what's going to happen because I've lived it in the past. And I tell myself, okay, wait until the teacher goes away. And the teacher walks over to the other side where the piano was, and I switch it out, and I'm all happy that I got the good coloring book, and I walk out the door, and I walk home, and I have the book in the dream. In reality, though, that didn't happen that way. But I fixed it in my head in my dream. So anyway, I've been always, aware of my surroundings my whole life. Always look around, make sure, I know what's happening in the vicinity. And I'm always mindful of strangers because I don't trust strangers or people that I've known for a long time. Depends who you are. Depends who you are. But, yeah. Anyway, getting back to Maggie and the beautiful machine. Highly recommend this. Highly recommend the show. I wish WGBH in Boston would play the program, or as some people say, the program, because I think a lot of people would watch it, and it's very nostalgic. Get this: slim your waist, thighs, hips, bottom, abdomen. Tells you how to do that in here. Strengthen your back, your neck, your shoulders, and straighten your body. Straighten the body. Limber up all your joints. Arms, legs, shoulders, hips, and neck. Oh, and back. Improve your circulation, flexibility, and posture. It says move more comfortably with less fatigue. I'd like to learn that. Move more comfortably and don't get tired as easily. So anyway, there's more, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, Yep. You know, I'd like to see Maggie, you know, give a little interview or something. You know, it was a cool episode. Maggie goes to City Hall. City Hall is what it is now, but back then I think it was called either Scully Square or Government Center. I think Government Center. And they show her walking around with all these kids, and then she does a few exercises, but she's wearing regular clothes. Regular clothes, because when I would watch her, she always had clothes that looked like this. You know, and I've never seen Maggie wearing regular clothes until that episode. She's wearing like a regular dress. You know, but yeah. So that's it. I just wanted to say hi to Maggie, and that I've been a huge fan of that show since the early 70s. Nothing beats cold water. Nothing. You know? I mean, there are things, yeah, okay, you get bored, you'll have a Coke made in Mexico, that's the best kind. Or a nice, you know, glass of orange juice. Tropicana, I love Tropicana. Tropicana, you know, was the king of orange juice when I was a kid. Ginger ale, Canada Dry, that's the best one. I know Seagram's is decent, but Canada Dry is a little bit better. So, that's it. Check out Maggie on YouTube. There's a few episodes on there. And think of me as a kid sitting in my room watching Maggie on a black and white Zenith television set that would take a minute to warm up before the image would show. And that was me way back then. And she would come on a couple times during the day, I think. But I used to watch her in the evening, you know, after school. I'd flip it on, and there they are, running, standstill running thing. What they called it, running in place, right? Running in place. For a while, that was my favorite thing to do. I'd be in my room running in place while watching the show. That's it. Good night.